If your DAW allows it, and I think most do, something else that you can do when you want to even out fluctuations in volume level is to use automation, so that whenever there is a loud part, you can draw in a dip in volume, and wherever there is a quiet part, you can do the inverse. You can draw in an increase in volume. Now this can take some time. Therefore, what I like to do if I'm in a rush is to use one of two plugins that I've got. And these two plugins allow me to mimic that in terms of evening out the volume fluctuations. Rather than drawing this in manually, these plugins allow me to do this automatically. Now these two plugins do differ in how they work, but effectively they do the same thing. One such plugin is made by a company called Melda Production, and here it is within Dynamics. It's called Auto Volume, and effectively what it will do, it will amplify the lower parts of your signal and attenuate those louder parts. So really, what you end up with is a restricted dynamic range, which is precisely what we've been doing manually over the last couple of tutorials. I'm not going to show you this one in action, I want to show you a different one. It achieves the same result, or very close anyway, but uses a slightly different method. When mixing songs in the olden days, using an old analog desk, what mix engineers had to do was ride the faders up and down in real time, while the particular plugin that I'm going to show you in a second is made by the company Waves, and is called Vocal Rider, and it automates the process. Now I'm just slightly off your screen here, but the one I want is Vocal Rider Mono, rather than those live versions. Anyway, once I select it, the Vocal Rider Mono user interface opens up. First of all, I need to set its sensitivity so that it knows that whenever it goes above that particular point, whatever I set the sensitivity to, the plugin will understand whether to increase or decrease the volume. Now I've already checked this out, and I've found the optimum level for this particular vocal is set at -9 dB. And therefore, as a consequence of setting that, my virtual fader here will either move up or down dependent on its volume. The range is set automatically so that the signal won't increase by, what is that, about 7 dB, and it won't go below -7 dB. You can always adjust this later, and in fact I probably will. Up here you can stipulate whether you want this vocal rider to react in a fast way or a slow way. For this particular vocal file, slow is more suitable. I'm going to leave those sensitivity dials set to default, and then I'll start playback. And once we do, you'll notice that the virtual fader there flicks up and down, automatically riding the vocal fader.
Give me your attention, baby. I wanna tell you a little something about yourself.
Okay, great. So far so good.